if you see I'm wearing the same top, it's because I've been trying so hard. I'm going to get all these videos done in one day. Reason being, I don't like talking about what had happened, and I'd rather just get it over and done with. I had a lot of energy when I was recording the previous video. I don't know what happened now. I think because I'd gone from the crazy to the crazier, and now I'm at the craziest part. It's like I'm probably gonna cry, because the things that had happened in that 4 days in hospital, I mean, it's been what? My brain is so switched off at the moment. I think today is Wednesday, which means that it's been over a week. We came home on a Wednesday, on a Thursday. It's been almost 7 days. It's been almost 7 days since hospital. I still can't believe See, the other things were easy to talk about. Easy to talk about because I found it funny at the time. I mean, not exactly in the moment, but the way that things were progressing and the way it was like going this way and that way. You can have a lot of energy about it because it doesn't hit me as hard as the way, not only the way that I was treated at hospital, but also the things that happened in hospital. I had experienced things that I never experienced before. Yeah. So they brought me into hospital that Sunday. They admitted me, and I was already in my bed that they admitted me into at about 12:30 the afternoon. And I remember around 1 o'clock, the pain hit like I got hit by a train. The pain just skyrocketed. And by then we had not seen the doctor that we were supposed to go see, because it's who we were referred to. So he was still doing his rounds. Sorry if I'm a bit slow when I'm explaining this. It's, as you explain it, your mind's like reliving it, which is why I didn't want to talk about it for so long, and which is also why I wanted to get all these videos done in one time, so I don't have to talk about it again. So please forgive me if I'm sitting in the same spot, wearing the same top. The things that happened was just a lot. So the pain started around 1 p.m. We had only seen the doctor at 3:10 the afternoon. I don't want to cry. I must stop my shot. I had already been in so much pain that I'm not crying. I had been in so much pain that my body started to shake. And I was used to my body shaking a little bit before, but this was something new entirely. And my mother was so freaked out. I mean, she was convinced I was having a fit. I looked like I was having a seizure by the way my body was shaking. I don't like crying on videos. I'm stopping it before it started. I just remember asking my mother. I mean, I could barely speak at that point. I remember I was holding her hand, because we had been calling nurses in those 3 hours. We had been pressing the button. We were pressing the button. They came. Clearly I was in pain. They left. Called them again. She's still in pain. Left. Called them again. Told them she's still in freaking pain. Is there nothing you're gonna do? Said they can't do anything until I see the doctor. And they left. So by the time they gave me something, we were already in such a state that it was like, at that point I just wanted to choke the people. Because how inhumane and careless do you have to be to see someone is not just sitting saying, ow, it hurts, who's visibly shaking, and you just don't help them. Because by that time I didn't have an IV in my arm yet, so they would still have to put one in. And I remember looking over at my mom, and I remember I don't want to cry, damn it. Nope. I hate crying on camera. I did not want to do that. I remember asking her, like, why is my body shaking? Because it didn't make sense to me. I couldn't. It's like your mind can't process the extent of everything that's happened, because I was in pain. Clearly I was in pain. My body was freezing, but I wasn't shaking because of the freezing. I was shaking because of the pain. I seriously don't want to cry. We shall not. If I had been speaking about this a few days ago, I probably would have had an anxiety attack on this video, because I'm still processing it. But yeah, it's been a week and I'm still processing. So they eventually came. They gave me pain medication. The doctor did an exam on me, and every single place he touched on my abdominal area, I wanted to scream. So he said he was very worried. Now, all the doctors we saw now recently when I was in hospital. All the doctors we saw, I had never seen before. These were all new. I had seen a general surgeon. I had seen a physician. I had seen a dietitian. And over the time I'd been there, I probably saw over 18, probably over 20. I couldn't even tell you how many nurses. So everyone was new. It was all new faces. I never, based on the amount of doctors that we have seen, it's saying something that we had never seen these guys before. The first person to see me was the general surgeon, because they had put me in the surgical ward. He did his exam, told him what pain meds to give me, to put me on fluids because my body was severely dehydrated, and it took a while for the pain meds to kick in. Eventually it did. But throughout that 4 days, like, my mother didn't leave my side. My mother was there the morning when everyone was awake. She was there until it was now time for everyone to go to sleep. She was there. So I can't even begin to thank her enough for that, because I don't want to cry. If she had not been there, I don't know what would have happened, because I was so in pain and I was too weak to explain what was going on to the nurses. Because when you press the button and they come, they see you in pain. They don't go, "Oh, you're in pain. Okay, you are shivering. Okay, pain medication. Put a blanket on her." They come to you and they say, "What's wrong?" Excuse my French. I was too fucking sore to speak. But they ask, "What's wrong?" Oh, I don't know sign language. But if I lift my middle finger, would it explain my mood? Not that I would have flipped them off. There was a few of them that I had flipped off. They had not seen, but I mean, they were all talking about me very horribly in the passage, which blew my mind, because it was because they didn't want to help me. Because I was such a consistent, persistent, that I was such a irritation that they had to do their job, that they didn't want to help me, that they disliked having to deal with me. Because, oh, now she's in pain. Oh, now she's complaining. Oh, now she needs food. So if it wasn't for my mother, she was able to say to them, you know, she needs pain medication. She's in pain. She needs anti-nausea medication. She's nauseous, you know. So they had put the IV in, they had given me pain medication, they had given me fluids. At one point there were so many bags on that damn IV, I probably looked like I went IV shopping, because there was so many. There was a big bag of fluids, there was a small bag of pain meds, another small bag of pain meds, another bag of fluids, another bag of the anti-nausea, another bag, and it was all hanging on the same thing, all empty. It's just the fluids thing they let go for like a whole day. So then the Monday they sent me in for a CT scan. And that's where things started to get a little crap, to say the least. Because they had to fiddle with the IV to put in a thicker tube. Because what happens with a CT scan is it's a CT scan of the abdominal region. So what they do is they have to inject you with a sort of a dye, and the reason why they do this is so that all the organs and everything that they're going to be checking in the scan, that it pops up like clear, that they can see everything inside. But they have to administer it through a thicker tube because they have to administer it quickly, because there's only a certain amount of time as it passes through and to take the scan at the same time. So the IV, it had sellotape over it. It had a lot. It was like this, and then there was a big one. So they had to take all of that off. So taking all of that off, you're fiddling with the needle site. So they had to take all of that off. They had to unattach or detach, whatever. They had to take off the small tube, put on the thicker tube. Then they still put the sellotape, everything over again. Administer the dye, do the CT scan, takes about 30 minutes. Then, once they were done, they had to fiddle with the IV again, because now they had to put the small tube back. So, taking off the sellotape, you're fiddling with the needle site again. Took the tube out, small tube in, closing it up, fiddling with it again. And I had to change. Now picture, you have to take something off. You're clearly doing this. And something that I was afraid of happening, which happened previous time I was in hospital. I was afraid of the needle going into skin tissue, because that's what happened the last time I had a CT scan, because after changing, after all the things they had to do, that needle had gone from the vein into skin tissue. It had turned purple, it had gone big, it had pained so badly. And that was one of the big things that I was afraid of. And it didn't just happen to me once. It happened to me 4 times at this hospital. But it didn't happen immediately after the CT scan. It happened after I got my MRI scan. Keep in mind, for an MRI, they require you to drink an entire jug of liquid. I had been throwing up for like 3 days. I had only started keeping liquids down. And if you don't drink this entire jug of water, they don't let you do the MRI. Because it has to, I think they said, fill the colon. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. I was very drugged. So it has to fill like the intestines, everything, so they can see it properly on the scan, and that scan took long. Now picture this. Someone who has been having stomach pain for days now, not being able to keep any fluids down, 4 days, drinks an entire jug of the water. Not only is your stomach now big because you drank a freaking jug of water, you have to lay on your stomach for 45 minutes doing breath work. How I did it? I'm telling you, there is a God, because if there wasn't, I probably would have thrown up right there. Because how? I don't know. So I had to lay on my stomach. Mind you, I also had to lay like this, with a freaking IV in the same arm that they had to fiddle with yet again to inject. They injected me before they did a prep scan, and then they did the actual scan. So they had to inject me with 2 or 3 stuff before the prep scan, and then they injected me with stuff again before the main scan. And all those times they were injecting me, it hurt like shit. But not inject like inject. Putting it through the IV. Now an IV is not supposed to hurt when liquid goes through. Which I realized only afterwards. That meant that it had already gone into tissue before the MRI. Anyways, now aren't you annoyed enough to have to drink a whole jug, have your stomach be big and lay on your stomach for 45 minutes? You also have to lay on your stomach and do breath work. So what they will do is they'll say like breathe in, breathe out, and now you have to hold your breath. And the thing is, with me, I have to time it in my head, because if you say hold your breath and I must hold my breath, if I hold my breath for 5 seconds and you're holding it and say hold it for 10, I'm gonna start breathing by 5 already, and then they're gonna have to redo the whole thing, and it's gonna take longer. So I was timing some of the seconds. Some of them went for like, some were 4 or 5 seconds long, some went until like 16 or 18 seconds long. Luckily for me, I think my best time holding my breath was 2 minutes. I did this years ago where we were like doing a competition with our friends and we had to hold our breath underwater. So I think it was 2 minutes. So I could handle it. I just would like to know how much time I have beforehand, so I know how to prep myself before. But anyway. So once I had gone back to the bed after the MRI scan, not only was I running to the bathroom literally every 5 seconds, shouting out water. I mean, that should tell you something. The water that I drank, because my gut was empty, the water that I drank, I couldn't urinate out until it was out of the other end. It doesn't make sense to me at all. If this is TMI for you guys, that's why I said you can go read the chapter. You can skip over whichever you don't like. But I'm going into depth here because this I didn't mention in the chapter. I didn't want to be too TMI, and there was quite a lot that happened, so it was already a lot to read. Yeah, so I think I can stop here for part. Yeah, this is probably part 2, because I know part 1 I was discussing what happened before hospital. So I shall explain in the next video what happened after the MRI. Because keep in mind, that was only the Monday. I was there till Thursday. Think about that.